Good afternoon, beautiful beings of light. Welcome to the Crone Zone Conversations with the Ancients. We have a special show today that just came into mind yesterday. So we've invited Dr. Gail. Yay. Thank you for being here so unexpectedly.
Last minute. Thank you for inviting me.
Last minute. This is a last minute subject, last minute everything. So I just want to say hi to everybody in the chat room. Sharon Side, Indigo Jaguar. Hi, Heather. And Katie M. and Sharon Sight, thank you for being here as always, Sharon. We do appreciate you so much. And White Dragon, we always enjoy our time with White Dragon.
And Butterfly
And
Kisses.
Butterfly Kisses Healing. Terrific. We got quite a group already here. So here's the deal with today.
Yes.
Heather and I were watching YouTube. And I don't know who's familiar with, what's her name? Linda Moulton Howe.
Right there.
Linda Moulton Howe. But we've been watching her off and on for years because she's been such a distinguished author and writer in the UFO community.
And she's got a channel called Earth File.
So she has a channel called Earth Files, and she releases weekly on Wednesday nights a show every week. This isn't one of them. This is not one of them. But let me just say, Linda Moulton Howe is a distinguished author, speaker, and writer in the UFO community. She's a graduate of Stanford University with a master's degree in communication. She's devoted her documentary, film, television, radio, writing, and reporting career to productions concerning science, medicine, and the environment. She's received local and national and international awards, including 3 regional Emmys, a national Emmy, and honored producer for medical and science programming in Boston. Now, I don't know if you know, but she's also been on many different shows about the aliens. And she was one of the first investigators into the alien, the cattle mutilations in Colorado.
She was actually the person they went to.
Right.
Because she had done so much work.
That's right. And that's when I was actually living in Colorado. And I remember hearing about those cattle mutilations way back. I think it was like 72.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, so she had an interview with a young lady named
Marina Sarin.
Marina Sarin. And why don't you give a little background on Marina?
And she's from Madrid, Spain. And at the time of the interview, she was 22. And she was talking about when, they started out when she was 15, which is when she kind of woke up and knew who she was. And it turns out she's a hybrid. And she's also a psychic medium, extrasensory seer, conscious channeler of the higher mind, intuitive artist, an ET contactee, alien abductee. She's done a lot of things with secret space programs and psychic super soldiers and things like that.
Through different incarnations, not just through
yeah.
this incarnation, but actually she remembers other incarnations.
Right. She knows who she is and what she's done. And she wants to get everybody to know what's going on and bring all the information disclosure about. She's really looking for the right people, the right aliens, because she's been involved with what she considered the wrong aliens for a time, and finally got away from them. And she wants to expose them all.
Very interesting.
Very interesting.
This is not a young lady that we are familiar with.
No.
I've never seen her channel before. Never heard of her before this meeting.
And she is talking about doing a YouTube channel eventually.
No, she does have a YouTube channel.
Oh, does she have one? You
Yes.
went to it? Okay.
I think the link is in the description of this video.
Okay.
So anyway, I got crazy when I saw this video. It's the same information that Dr. Gail tells you, that my guides have been telling me for the last at least 5 years.
But it was like super validation to have somebody of that renown, not just our friends, not just the people we know, saying that.
The same
things.
And if you've ever listened to Linda Moulton Brown, she's quite the interviewer. So the discussion ended up talking about God, the entities that are downloading information to Marina,
What they look like, where they're from, all sorts of things.
all sorts of information. The Dark Fleet. Are you familiar with the Dark Fleet, Dr. Gail? Have you ever heard of the Dark Fleet before?
I don't talk about it.
Okay, but you're familiar. Okay. So I don't know how to really to start this, except for I liked her explanation of God. And that was the same explanation that I received. And yet you've actually met God and received something from God. So I kind of like to hear about that as well.
It was just one day that it was a big energy that showed up, and I was meditating, and he came around, and he didn't show his face, he didn't show his body, didn't show anything, which is unusual for me. Usually they show who they are, but he presented me with the emerald ring, and I was going, okay, thank you. I wasn't real sure what the symbolization of that was. It was a gold band and an emerald ring, but I was very thankful for it, and it was for opening my heart up. That's what it was. And for
That's lovely.
For what?
Opening her heart.
Yeah.
It's funny that you received a gift like that. Terry Suzuki said, always ask for a gift. And when they give you a gift, I never had either. Ask what it's for, what it does, how you use it. She gave a list of 5 different things that you should ask when given a gift. So I did that when I had met some entity that I didn't know before, and I received a gift like that. And funnily, I remembered what Terry asked, and I was able to ask all those questions. But I'll send you that list, because it is handy when an entity gives you a gift and you're like,
okay, what do I do with this?
What does it do?
What is this for? How do I use it?
My latest gift was a crown that they gave me that they called it my amplifier. So I was going to be more connected. And that was probably last year that I got that one. And that was a big ceremony when they gave me that one. So yeah, I've gotten quite a few gifts. But I've never did I feel the difference? Yes. I can't remember what happened after that, because as I said, this was last year, and I seem to be on the fast track that I spend like 6 weeks at one place, and then they move me on to the next, and they move me to the next. So that would, if it was a year ago, that'd have been a lot of 6 weeks of different jobs.
No kidding. Really, your jobs change every 6 weeks? That's crazy.
It's usually about every 6 weeks. There's some things I've been like 2 months or so, but it has been basically 6 weeks, and I can expect another change.
Right. Interesting. Well, let me read what she says.
You know that job? Let's get you another one.
I know it might be an accelerated program.
It just seems like you're settling in at 6 weeks, not ready to change over.
Well, now
I'd like to read.
Now I expect it. It's like when I do settle in, then it's going to change.
Yeah, that's not fair. I wouldn't like that much at all. So I want to read what she says about God. I asked about God, and these are all time stamped. I am literally taking the video and taking words out of the video based on the time stamps that Linda Howe put in her video. So Marina asked about God, about how it is that we exist, and she got a paradox. I got an answer that is paradoxical, that says we exist because non-existence couldn't exist, because it will be the denying of existence. And only if existence exists, non-existence could exist. And that's why there is existence. And then I asked about God, and they told me I got the information coming from me telepathically that gave me the vision that God is an all that is force, and everything that exists are finite frequency modulations of that same energy that we call God, and it's fractalized, and the purpose behind God and the universe exists on fractalizing into infinite aspects of ourself. It's because God, by being everything, it was nothing at the same time. So to have existence, you have to have non-existence. To have
non-existence, you have to have existence.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's funny because he's never shown himself, as I said to me. So it's almost like he doesn't exist except for energy. And the only one that whenever I'm going out to get a negative entity now, I am in charge of what I do with it. And I do take it to him a lot of times now. And he sends them off to school or whatever he wants to do. They were trying to land that decision on me, and I'm going, oh, no, I want to take it to you. It's your decision.
Higher, yeah. I'll take it to the highest. Highest, yes.
Yeah.
So it says God wanted to be someone, and that's why it fractalized itself to become someone. And the only number that God could divide itself by definition, technically, mathematically speaking, is infinite, which is an abstract number. So basically, what they're saying is we're all fractals of God, which we all know. We've all learned that over the last few years, that we are each a fractalization of the ultimate source energy.
Which is why we are all part of one.
And that's why we're all one, and there should be no separation by country or anything else, because we're all
one
part of the one, which we all know, basically. So, do you have any comments about that section, about the God part?
Not really. I think that's a good section. I'm sitting there thinking about how fragmented, because all the different ETs, it's not just humans, it's all everybody.
It's everything.
It's everything. Yes.
Billions and gazillions. I don't even know what the biggest number word is.
Gazillion's good.
Gazillion works for me. Then she talks about the collective energies that are communicating with Marina. And she says she divides that into a collective, into the ones that are not agenda-based and the ones that are here all about expansion, spiritual expansion and experience, which is what I believe that we're all here for, expansion and experience.
And she says those who are expansion, they won't interfere because of free choice.
Right.
But those with an agenda decide what they
They
want
don't
you
care.
to know.
They don't care about free choice.
Do we want them to know this yet? No. How much of this do we want them to know? And that's what they give out. So, it sounds like two complete opposites.
Yeah. The ones that have an agenda that unfortunately have been the ones that have been manipulating and controlling deeply the awakening of humanity in all these scenarios. So she says her personal experience ranges from the very agenda-based to the non-agenda-based. So she has a duality of both of them. Well, I think we all have a duality within us. It's a matter of growing out of the darker side of us.
Right.
And trusting in the lighter side of us, to me. Yeah. But what I found interesting was she says that the beings that she gets these downloads from are the Anunnaki.
I know, yeah.
And the Anunnaki, she says there are various kinds of Anunnaki that are specifically blue-skinned, and they have a connection to what we call the Celtic people from Earth. What many people don't understand is that the Anunnaki nowadays is a very general term because it's species made of many different races and sub-races. And I think we need to make that really clear that all the ET races are like that, just like us. There's many races and sub-races from
the Homo sapiens.
Right.
Yeah, even
when I started going out and visiting planets, that's when I realized how many different species there were on the planets and how many different life forms, and that we categorize them as one.
They're not at all.
And there's a lot of different species on the. That I didn't learn that until I started visiting the planets and saw.
I can imagine.
Yeah,
I wouldn't have known that either. I was just going to check and see if we have any questions.
So I think they're still pretty much on the gift.
Okay. So, now, I didn't understand what type of hybrid she was, unless it's a gray hybrid. It was a bit confusing, but she defines herself as a hybrid product of genetic engineering. I was giving extraterrestrial genetics. I'm also an experiencer of bringing programs, those that you mentioned that are a threat to humanity, that I kindly agree. And I my genetics were taken to create hybrid babies, which I'm not okay with. So I think she's talking about the pointy chin grays that are no longer here
Yeah, you
that
said they're
are
gone.
having the hybrid program. Can you
They were the
explain a
ones
little bit about that?
Yeah, those are the ones that were doing the abductions and creating, doing our programs against our will. They are not here anymore. They're not doing any abductions anymore. And they did create some hybrid gray human hybrids. Now what we do have around here is gray human hybrids, and they are, they are not doing that. That kind of program is not happening now. Now, somebody who's doing a hybrid program volunteers for it. It's usually somebody who cannot have children, and then they will volunteer to have one gray baby, one human baby, and they both look like they're both hybrids, but one looks gray and one looks human. So, and the gray one goes to the gray hybrids, and the human one stays with the human mother. So that's the kind of program that I've been involved in. The other,
but that's a different type of gray, correct?
Those are gray hybrids. The ones that are here, the ones that are not doing the abductions now, they came. One of them came. I was quite a long time ago, and came to a friend of mine and talked about they considered that period of time as a dark period for them when they were doing the abductions, and they equate it to our dark time during slavery. So they're saying they're embarrassed about what they were doing then, just like we're embarrassed about slavery. And that's kind of how they look at it at that time.
Really, that makes sense.
Yeah, they didn't have the emotions that we have, and they didn't realize what was happening or what kind of effect they were having on us. So
I have a question about that.
Okay.
People that are being abducted, was that in their soul contracts to allow that abduction to take place, or were those grays abducting people against their soul contracts?
I'm not real sure about that. I'm not sure about the soul contract part of it. I would think it would be part of a lot of it would be part of their soul contract, but I'm not sure. I'm really not sure about that. I really don't know how to answer. I'm not sure.
I'm curious about whether the nefarious entities honor our soul contracts, or if they just, I don't care, and go for it.
Yeah, I would.
And I'm assuming they do that.
Right. I would think some of it would be in their contract because we would be educated by it. You know, so I would think somehow or another we would have to find out about it. So yeah, I would say yes. So, but I'm not, unless I was one of them, I'm not sure. You know,
I think with the program that you're involved with the hybrids, it seems to me that's a very different program.
Oh, it's a very
the original. And that they would honor soul contracts, where the nefarious ones probably don't give a damn.
Yeah, the ones I deal with are, it's not even just soul contracts. It's just a contract that they agree to willingly because they want to have a baby, that they are willing to carry two babies, twins, and one looks human and one looks gray. And the deal is the gray one goes with the grays and the human stays the human. And we can't see or identify that DNA of that child, so it's just raised as a human baby.
How are the mothers contacted?
I'm not real sure how they're contacted. I think probably they already have some kind of ET connection, but right. I'm not real sure about that contact. All I've been a part of is receiving the baby. I've done the C-sections where I've gone in and helped with that, and I've gone in and also received a baby that I needed to take to a human and go in and present adoption papers, and I have to tell them how to take care of it because they have to have special formulas of a formula that's mixed with human formula and the gray formula. So there's a lot of details that go with that. So whenever I would go to a family, I'd spend about 8 hours with them just going over how to take care of it because it's considered a special needs baby for a year, and they can't go out of the house with it. And only a few people can be exposed to it, and it has to be on special formula. So there's a whole big program about the
Interesting. We have a question by G. Covington. Can you answer that question? I understand that God is sexless. It's the God, goddess, spirit,
it's
everything.
Both sexes, so it's complete.
Yeah. There is.
When you're in an energy form, there's no sex. There's no
Not
sexual orientation.
It's a good question. So it's both. It's both male and female.
Yes.
That was a good question.
Did I get? Is that the?
Yeah.
Okay. And Spirit Watcher, Suzanne, I wanted to say that. Let's see. Spirit Watcher, where did she go? I lost it.
And is that the one that about she didn't believe everything by contracts?
I see
Yeah,
it.
something about
By GG.
I see it. Spirit Watcher said, I believe that not everything that happens to us is part of our soul contract. I don't know, Spirit Watcher Suzanne. I could agree with you, but I just really don't know. I mean, because we do have free will in a lot of it. So I don't really know how to answer that question.
I really don't either. My understanding that is what happens to us is part of our contracts. The free will part of it is you're going to go from point A to B. How you get there is your free will.
Right.
There's always going to be point A and point B. It's just the matter of the path that you take to get there.
Yeah.
So,
and this girl actually said that she broke her contract and it almost killed her, but she broke her contract to have
Grays. She broke her contract with the Grays.
With the Grays,
not to have more babies and have them take them.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Where did we go from here? So we talked about the Anunnaki as being her contacts, her main contacts. And okay, the hybrid babies things. She was talking about the beings known as the Greys are the main species behind the breeding program. The reason why is because they are a dying race. They are in the face of extinction and claim to be us from the future, so they convince people that we are somewhat related genetically, so that we develop compassion and actually agree on a higher level or a lower level, as the case may be, to give away our genetics. And they're doing this. And I have to say that I consider this to be one of the greatest threats in human evolution right now, because I had experiences when I confronted them and exposed them to the public, the real intentions. When I did, I was attacked by them. So she asked, Linda Howe asked, why are the pointed chins focused on Homo sapien? Because they want to impose their genetics on this planet so they can be introduced energetically, because everything is about frequency and vibration, but mostly DNA, which is a program. It's basically frequency patterns. It's physics. So if someone is able to control the frequency patterns that are programmed within the DNA structure of one species, that galactic blueprint, they can insert themselves. They can manipulate the evolutionary course of that species. Lordy.
I'm so glad they're gone.
I am too, because frequency and vibration, we know that's everything in the universe is about frequency and vibration.
Right. And energy.
And if they're trying to manipulate us, and I think they have been manipulating us for thousands of years through frequency. Even if you talk about present day and watching television, what frequency is most programming on television? It's fear-based.
Right.
Almost everything about it is trying to put you in a fear mode, which lowers your frequency and leaves you open to whatever insane messages they want to impart on us humans.
Right.
They do talk about the Anunnaki and how they are the reptilian part of them are the ones that are the ones that we need to.
They're the species that are beings from a different density of consciousness. A higher density of consciousness means they have more reintegration with their higher mind, more dimensional depth as to the structure of their existence. But it does not mean that they have a more positive state of being necessarily. And that has more to do with soul development with the heart space. We all know that, right? Your soul development comes from your heart space. It has to be from love, or
love is the only thing that is what makes this planet move.
It's the highest frequency vibration of all.
Mm-hmm.
So because they are, they have a genetic connection to us, the Anunnaki, including the reptilians, the Pleiadians, however many species were involved in creating Earth and its population, because are we not hybrids of multiple types of star DNA?
Oh, definitely.
Which
Yes.
makes Earth open territory for everybody.
So that's what she
wants it.
says gives them an opening into messing with our lives, is because we have their DNA, even if it's just minutely DNA, because they have their genetic connections to us. And it's a repeating cycle for millions of years. Yikes. And we know that.
Yes. But I think
So,
you might have more DNA of one type than the other. I mean, I'm a hybrid, and I'm an Arcturian hybrid, so they consider me they call me a human hybrid because I look human. And
right.
so that's what they identify the hybrids as. Whatever you look like is the name first. Like if a gray hybrid looks gray, he's considered a gray hybrid. If that hybrid looks human, it'd be like a human.
That makes sense.
Hybrid, yeah.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. So whatever you look like would be the
right. And it was a long time ago when I kept asking him, why me? Why have I been chosen? Why? And all he would say was, it's because you look human. And I didn't understand what that meant until way later. If I can look human, what kind of answer is that? But now I understand that.
Well, my understanding is that I'm an angelic hybrid. And but I also think that there's Pleiadian and
right.
Andromeda.
A lot of times that's Pleiadian. Well, that would make sense. Pleiadian and Andromeda is usually I feel angelic.
What I remember was that coming from, I believe it was the 11th dimension, you have to pop into the 6th dimension, which is the dimension of creation, to be able to come back down into 3rd dimension, to be able to incarnate into 3rd. You can't incarnate from 10, 11, 12 dimensions. Right. You have to downgrade. You have to
way station first.
Yeah, you have to downgrade. And my understanding is it was a 6th-dimensional Pleiadian and Andromedan. So I don't know how many lives I've spent anywhere like that. I was
going to say, I would guess, for me, my experience, that might be true, but my experience, I would guess it would be 7th dimension. Because I go up to 7th dimension a lot, and they still have a form. So
they still have a form.
Mm-hmm. Where they present a form to me, yeah.
But can't you present a form no matter what dimension you're in? It's just a matter of moving your molecules around, your energy around.
Right.
But after 5th dimension, nothing is solid.
Yeah, but anything above 7th, I haven't seen.
Right.
But 7th and below, I have.
Well, they would be so heavy in a form that why would you want to do that? Because you couldn't hardly.
I think it would be an energetic form.
Right. It just might be because they're presenting themselves to make you comfortable.
Yeah, to make you comfortable, like a hologram.
Right.
That makes sense. Do we have any other? Let's see. I think we're good. No questions. Okay. Then she talks about the Alder Barons, and I don't know anything about Alder Barons. I've never heard of Alder Barons. They it seems to me that she's talking about the tall whites when she talks about the Alder Barons.
My book here. I'll bring down here and get my book out. I think I might have something on them.
Oh, good. So what she says before Dr. Gail gets her book, the Alder Baron beings that I was mentioning in story were actually Nordic looking as you described them to be, and the ones that are helping humanity and are working with the military. They're not aggressive, they don't want to take over, and they are not related to the pointed chin grays. I like their description.
It's actually called the Alder Barons.
Alder Barons.
Barons. And it looks like they look there's different types. They look like they're Lyran, and they are Anunnaki. They're from Anunnaki and Lyran's colonies. But here's a picture of them.
Oh, cool.
There you go. There's a picture of them.
Right.
Wow. Yeah.
So the reptilians are a type of Anunnaki, and the Alder Barons are a type of Anunnaki. That's just two right there.
Right. It's what she's dealing with, both of them. But I don't know that it's the Anunnaki. I mean, I'm not sure. I'd have to read a little bit more about this. But it looks like to me it's mainly Lyrans and like the whites, the Nordic looking whites. It looks like to me because they don't look like tall whites. See if I can see anything about their personalities. They're wisdom keepers, diplomats, but they are saying it's at the ninth. Pleiadians are their brothers, the born leaders. I've got a whole thing of them.
Cool. Characteristics. Cool.
So Dr. Gail's writing a book, if you don't know. In fact, she's writing a couple of books.
Right. Well, I'm supposed to be writing 4.
4, huh?
Yeah, 4.
That can get confusing.
Okay, Alder Barons have a militant warrior, protector, hero kind of vibe, and they are aligned to the royal blue and violet rays. They're also aligned with Archangel Michael. And yes, basically, that's what I'm reading here. Anyway, so that's what the Barons are, and
that's really good.
Yeah.
So are they? Are the Alder Barons the tall whites?
It looked like to me the picture didn't look like tall whites. It looked like they were the Nordic.
Right.
That we would call Nordic. Now, as I said before, we all have these different names in different countries, and she is from Spain. And
right.
So it might be that their official name is, which I think it is the Alder Barons. And maybe here in the U.S. we call them Nordics or tall whites.
Right.
So I think that just kind of changes, and it's a lot of all the same and a lot of difference because there are a lot of different species. But they did look Nordic looking.
Interesting.
Lyran and Nordic looking. So that both of those are on there on Alder Barons.
Right. Okay. Okay. The next item she talked about was soul contracts. There's a higher self in what we call the 5th dimension, which is a higher frequency in which we are all conscious. We are all super conscious, actually. It goes beyond the physical mind's understanding and even the subconscious understanding of one. And so that self-aware, that self is aware of all kinds of co-creations that they are actually performing in this incarnation. In their incarnation in this physical plane, and is the one who makes the soul contracts or agreements with the different kinds of beings, being positive or negative. So I think the gist of that was it's our higher self in the 5th dimension that decides our soul contracts, what things we want to experience, what things that we don't. And the way she tries to explain it is an exchange of energy, which is kind of interesting. I've never heard of it spoken like that. There's an exchange of energy there that the soul, the higher mind, benefits from, because there is a learning lesson there that we can take as an opportunity to take aspects over consciousness, to get integrated and heal within our DNA and become evolved. And otherwise there wouldn't be any point of experience in the physical reality. The soul contract means that before or during an incarnation, which I'm not sure about this during an incarnation, an expression of one's soul in the physical matrix, there is agreement on a higher level that there's going to be an interaction, that there's going to be an exchange of energy of information. So sometimes it is a negative kind. It is polarized to be a negative experience or change of information and energy. Sometimes it's positive. So for me and for everyone, it is polarized. That way we have positive and negative. And then Linda asks, what's the value of the negative experience? And I thought that was pretty obvious. The experience is an opportunity for spiritual growth and expansion. Now, none of us like negative experiences, and we all like to kind of shove them away, but we do know
we grow
that they're
right.
For our own growth.
Let's grow.
So I'm not soul contracts. She goes into the soul contracts, and we can address that again in a minute. There's another part to us. I don't know what I did with it. But you can change your soul contract when you're alive now.
Yeah, but be ready for the consequences because, as she said, it just about killed her.
Well, that's true. When she tried to change it with the grays, can you find that one? Polarity.
It had to do with the
psychic attacks, canceling soul agreements. So she says she was happy with the soul agreements with the positive beings, but not with the Greys in their breeding programs. So in the beginning, when she started sharing her story in the community, many spiritual people will be using spiritual teachings or metaphysical knowledge to justify or even romanticize the idea of being taken and being abused to this kind of breeding program and agenda. And they will even state that it's the best for humanity. Actually, the negative interactions taking place are part of the process of getting to the higher level of consciousness. Because consciousness, there's only consciousness, and what is unconscious is disintegrated in what we call darkness, which is the narratives of conflict and, negative interactions. That part is consciousness too, but it's unconscious because it's not integrated into the balance, into a state of harmony. Okay. How did
You were on the wrong page.
I was on the wrong page. Oh my God. Okay, you go there.
So she decided that she didn't want to do the Greys stuff.
Yeah, basically.
And
contract with the Greys, and it basically almost took her life to do that.
yeah,
Yes.
she didn't want to do that. And because we are creators.
Yeah, the Alder
She had
Barons,
an argument that was
I'm sorry, what?
the Alder Barons came to her rescue.
Yes, thank
Mhm.
God. And showed
Yes.
us. And I thought that was really interesting because they're talking about the Merkaba. And
I thought that was interesting too.
let me find the Merkaba part.
Basically, all of us have a Merkaba in us, or two of them, that rotate themselves in two different directions.
That's right.
And
There's a female side and a male side.
Right.
And they spin in opposite directions. And I think that's how we actually move through dimensions, is in our Merkaba.
Right.
But that's just my personal opinion from what I've picked up.
And they were going to slow it down till there was nothing left of her.
Yeah, the Greys were trying to slow her Merkaba down to kill her, basically. And the
Star
Alder
families
Barons
helped her.
told her how to fix it.
Yeah.
Oh, that's scary.
So yeah, you can break your contracts, but be ready for the consequences.
Yes, definitely. Another interesting part, and I'm probably way out of line with everything else we're looking at, but the avatars of Christ and Krishna. Didn't you find that interesting? Her conversations about the Buddha?
Yeah.
The avatars are actually representations of aspects or even archetypes of consciousness. An archetypal structure generally is a structure of meaning, an aspect of our consciousness that has its own map of different aspects of itself, such as we are observing the chakra system. So the archetypal energy will represent an idea and a general idea so that it is combined even of many different ideas like a fractal system. So that's why we have deities, even on our history on communication and content and experiences with what we call deities. Avatars are actually representations of not just one archetypal energy, but rather many kinds of archetypes and even consciousness that are behind the co-creation of incarnation and life, the channeling of information of that, or the sharing, the public sharing or giveaway of information and service to the collective. Whew, that was a lot.
She talked like a professor rather than somebody that
a 22-year-old kid.
To talk to. Yeah.
Yeah.
So have you had the link to the show for everybody to watch it?
Yes, I think I put the link in the description. It'll be in the description.
So you might want to watch it. It's really it's fascinating, and yet at the same time, it's stuff you already knew, but it's really being verified. And if you didn't know about it, now's the time to get it.
Yeah. That's funny.
Yeah.
So it's kind of interesting that then Linda asked her why these different beings came in when they did, and thinking that it was a divine thing, that all the archetypes are put here at certain periods of time. But what this young lady was saying was that they actually decide for themselves when they want to come in as an archetype. It's a universal decision and has a lot to do with the human collective and what the human collective decided before they actually came here. In their soul contracts, these entities would appear as archetypes every so often. So we chosen to be here.
Oh yeah.
Unknown. So I think that's pretty cool. Okay. Yeah, she says it's usually our collective system on a higher level making that agreement altogether. Because sometimes it's control, or sometimes there's an agenda behind those avatars. But many times those avatars have decided to be born and represent what they came to represent by the collective mind of humanity. Woo-hoo. So we did it to ourselves.
Yeah.
All of them, good and bad.
And she does go into the law that says you don't mess with everything. It's a standing law, but not everybody pays attention to it.
The bad guys don't.
No.
Pure and simple.
No.
The good guys listen, pay attention, and the bad guys don't. So is that where the GFL comes into play to make the bad guys behave?
Yes, they do kind of govern a lot of that.
They really do, don't they?
Yeah.
So after that, she goes into the future and is shown visions of the probable future to manifest for her. And it says that basically she's living in a new earth with and working with the good guys. So I'm hoping that means we're all going to be working on the new earth with the good guys. Because I think all of us here in this chat room and talking about this are all the good guys.
Yes.
Definitely, they're resonating with it. Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely.
But, I mean, I thought it was fascinating that she deals with the Alder Barons and Anunnaki, and our journey is very similar. And I'm dealing with the gray hybrids and the Arcturians. So I just found that fascinating that we were dealing with different groups of ETs, but getting a lot of the same information.
I think that's super important too. That two different types of information the same information from two different places, two or more different species. It's
Right.
all boiling down to the same thing, which means, guess what? We're all on the right path.
Right. And also that she's a hybrid, I'm a hybrid. I mean, it just seems like our path is very similar. I wish I was 22 doing all this. So, but no, I'm not.
Oh, whoops. I got the wrong one. I'm sorry.
No, that's it. Why would they attack somebody for changing their contract? I would say because they were counting on that person to do certain things. It
Yeah,
messes
they
up
were-
all their plans.
They were using her DNA to create children. They were creating hybrid children with her for DNA. And so she broke that contract that she didn't want to have any more children or have any more children developed. So under those circumstances, changing your soul contract brings into question whether we truly have free will. I know, isn't that true? Spirit Watcher said we could just go down the rabbit hole and all
Yeah,
that.
that rabbit hole,
Mm-hmm.
it's all very confusing.
And I'm not really sure, will we ever really know the answer to that unless we go to the next,
Once we're on the other side.
Yeah.
we're out of our bodies. I'm not real
Yeah.
sure about that. Spirit. I mean,
Because
that's
if you think about it, it was free will before we were here
right,
that made the contract.
right.
Yeah, that's a rabbit hole.
That's a rabbit hole.
I don't know about canceling soul agreements. It's with her doing that, she suffered so much that I can't even imagine wanting to do that. Everything within me says, no, you can't do that. Because I tell you, I did try to change your soul contract. I have a soul contract that I won't astral project. And I made that thousands of years ago. And I've been trying to break that for months. Well, years. And have not been able to break it. So to me, you're really not allowed to break soul contracts. And maybe that's why she ended up in such issues. I don't know the answer.
Right.
I don't know.
I don't either. I don't know any of us.
And like
here.
you say, I don't until we pass to the other side, I don't think we're gonna know.
That information, I mean, we can put the intentions, all of us can put an intention out there to know the answer to that. I have really never asked them that question. It might be that I was a little scared to know the answer. But I've never really questioned my contract, though, because of what I'm doing. I like what I'm doing. So I've never really kept questioning my contract and being able to help people. I'm not sure why I would even want to change my contract.
I have not had any desire to change anything but the astral projection. And what I was told was no, because if you go, you won't come back.
Oh.
So we're not willing to change it.
Well, we do have free will and when to exit too. So
that's true.
That's true.
That's true. So I don't know how that involves that either. So I don't know. So I'd love more comments from the chat room. If anybody has any information they'd like to share. Did we wrap it up? Or is there more?
She just talked about it at death. There's a reintegration, or what we call with the higher mind. But as you all know, we don't die. Our human bodies that we've been using, well, but we don't. And the same thing with reincarnation. It's not linear. Everything happens at the same time is one of the things that she said.
That's right. So it's not really reincarnation. It's just multiple carnations,
Exactly.
right?
Yeah.
It's not, reincarnation is not even the right word.
And she did note that the purpose of the universe is to know ourselves, to find out who we are, what we are, and what we do.
And we're all working on that.
Yeah. That's why we go through so many things, is to know who we are and how to go ahead and do things. So expansion of the consciousness. That makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah.
Absolutely it does. Oh, one other thing she talked about was the fall of Atlantis, which I thought was rather interesting. She says, I've been told a secret that not many people know, that I've been told about human history that ties to that question, is that the fall of Atlantis was, let's say, caused on purpose, because at that level we were at the degree of superhuman, which means we were this close to becoming free and sovereign from those beings, referring to the beings trying to control Earth. But they twisted behind the scenes the karmic cycles of patterns that we can contain within our DNA collective blueprint, so that we will become unstable and then be vulnerable for the catastrophe to be, and manifested in our physical matrix and wipe us out and separate us into different directions. Some of them went to Antarctica and to inner Earth, and those are the beings that we call the inner Earth beings. They are our ancestors, the ones that didn't let split into different directions, and that's why they contain the wisdom, because they never lost it. So you're familiar with those beings.
Right.
Yep.
And there's more
and the
than
purpose
one species of inner Earth beings now. I mean, I'm here at Mount Shasta with the Lemurians, but this is not the only place that inner Earth beings are located.
Isn't it throughout the planet? There are beings and all throughout planet Earth. We're just clueless.
Yeah, like Antarctica
Says,
with the reptilians, and they're all over the place.
Yeah, she says the purpose behind the ones in the surface being split into different directions and being in complete conflict with the catastrophe. So they would lose the knowledge, they would lose tradition, and then they would be able to be more keen to be manipulated by the Anunnaki, that they would be manipulated by these other extraterrestrials, the humans exactly. That was the agenda behind the fall of Atlantis. Wow.
Yeah.
Does that resonate with you? Is that what you understand happened with Atlantis?
No, I actually don't have that information, Atlantis or Lemuria. So I'm not sure. I haven't gotten that information. Maybe one day I will.
But it does make sense. It does make sense. It does make sense because so many, but didn't the Lemurians come from when Lemuria crashed and burned?
Right.
Those are the ones that came to tell us, right?
Right.
The Lemurians?
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's what they want to be called. I was calling them Palladians until while I was moving out here, they said we would like to be called Lemurians. So,
but they are Pleiadian genetics.
I think
I think there's three. I think it's Palladians, Arcturians, and Syrians. It's actually the genetics that's there, but they look Palladian.
Interesting. So you want to do the summary that you wrote?
Oh, well, I said basically all the way through it, she was talking about what if you were interested in looking at the different entities that are out there and what they look like and where they're from. Whenever she talks about one of them, she talks about how they look, how tall they are, whether they have hair or not, what color they are, what planet they're from. So she gives a lot of information about each one of the different races. So if you're interested in that kind of thing, you might want to go listen to it and find out more information about it. She also goes through our history, and it's like the Atlantis, that she goes through some other things in the history that happened on Earth and what's involved and the key characters and the consequences of what happened and how things evolved. I mean, she talks about the Germans and the Nazis and how they split up and who is what. Yeah. Which is the good guy, which is the bad guy, and how did they start being together to start with, and what split them up, things like that. So it's kind of interesting to see the different histories.
It is, because one thing we didn't mention here is her talk about the Nazis and Antarctica and how all that started. So that's in the video if you guys want to go watch it. It was fascinating information. I got the chills when I was watching it, and I just had to do the show today.
And I've got to tell you that even if you listen to it, you're going to want to read the transcript. You're going to want to listen to it again, because this young lady says so much
in a heavy accent.
Get it the first time.
It's a heavy Spanish accent too.
You can't pick up all the information that she's putting out there in one time. It can't be done.
That's true.
So,
okay. Linda Sandoval says, makes sense if you've never been part of Atlantis.
That's true. Do you have a different story?
Yeah. Anything else? Any other comments? So what do you think, Dr. Gail?
As in, what do I think? Well, I saw that show a while back, and it seems like to me, I thought it was like a year ago I had seen that show, and it was nothing was big revolutionary or whatever you call revelation to me, because I had been so involved in it already at that time. Mm-hmm. But then I realized when y'all sent it to me that it was done in September, and I kept going, how did I see this so long ago?
I'm really curious about that.
Yeah, that has just really bothered me, wondering how I saw that interview so long ago.
Well, it was actually, right now there's a, let me see what the name of it is. It came from the portal to ascension.org. They're doing a series with a bunch of different people right now. And I believe that Linda Moulton Howe interviewed her.
Okay.
As a part of that.
In the show, she says this is filmed in September 2022. And I'm going, yeah. How can that be? I know I saw this a long time ago.
I don't know.
But they're now releasing it again. Yeah. But I do think it was a lot of validation. I mean, if you had learned all this stuff during your staying at home time of COVID, and you had questioned whether did you really understand it to be that way, that helped clear it up.
Yeah.
It's not just your friends saying it too, it's somebody with a reputation. So that kind of gives it a little more bite.
I don't know. It just validated so much of what my guides have been telling me that I was just thrilled to see somebody that young talking about it. Mm-hmm. And that hopefully, I don't know, maybe some of you guys with the channel can talk this little girl into, this young lady into coming on your channel, and we can find out more. That would be fun. I know there's plenty of people out here in the chat that have channels. And I actually did email her and ask her if she would come on our channel. We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
I did. I'm not very good at doing that sort of thing, but I thought I'm going to do this because for some reason she just super resonates with me, and it's
Right.
why not?
Why not?
So let's see.
Well, I hope you get her.
We'll see. If not, somebody else will. Somebody has a question.
But if we do get her, we're going to let you guys know early. Get your questions ready.
Yes, we will. What do you think about the Gray saying that they are us from the future? It depends on which Gray you're talking about.
Well, I think it's very possible. I mean, they're having the hybrid program, and we're producing gray hybrid children. That could be our future. So I very much see that.
I would think that they're from the future.
Mm-hmm.
But it's hard to tell since there's no
timeline.
There's no timeline
Everything
anywhere but
happens
in
at the same
3D.
time.
So I find that kind of mind-blowing and confusing and a rabbit hole that just there's no exit from it when you start thinking about alternative timelines and what's happening at the same time. I've been told that I'm on not with you, but I've been told that I'm on a spaceship right now at this moment. I've been told I'm in several other different places right now at this moment. But doesn't it make you wonder, okay, if I'm here, there, and there, which one's the main Priscilla?
Well,
Which
no,
one?
I've been doing that for a long time.
And why don't I know?
Yeah. Why don't I know about these other beings of me that are in other dimensions?
I mean, because like if I'm here in 3D, I know what I'm doing in 5D at the same time. And
You do.
I
don't.
I don't know why.
Yeah. One of the selected few.
I have no idea why I'm allowed to know, just like she's being allowed to remember her, the things that's going on with her. But I am. And so I can be sitting here in my 3D body and know that my light body's gone up to 5D and working on the spaceship. I've also have seen myself here in my body here on this planet, my light body going up to the spaceship, and then I astral travel from that spaceship to another spaceship. So there's all sorts of things you're doing. Pretty amazing.
My brain just explodes.
I know. So then I realized what the difference was like, okay, my body's here, and then my light body's going up there, but it's physically representing itself like me, and it does go through different ages.
Right.
So, but then when I was sitting there and I astral traveled over to another spaceship, I went, okay, now I know how all this feels. I know the difference in all this now. Well, I mean, I've also gone up to different planets, taken off my human body, hung it up on a rack, put on a whale body, and gone swimming with the whales. And that was pretty fascinating. Also, when I did that, I went, okay, so your body's just a shell. Oh, your body's, that's all it is.
It is. And you hear that and you understand it intellectually, but until you experience taking that body off and hanging it up to put your whale uniform on, it's a whole different story.
Really weird.
I can't even imagine. I hope that we all manage to get there someday with you, Dr. Gail.
I know. I hope everybody can someday start seeing what they're doing too. It'd be nice to for that.
It really would be
It
nice.
would be fun. Yeah.
Okay, so we're right at an hour and coming up to an hour. And what have you got on next, Dr. Gail?
Well, I've got several things coming on. I've got tomorrow I'm going to be on with Rising Star Astrology with Anne Marie. I'm going to be on her channel. Monday I have my
Solaris
Healing Center. Thank you. That'll be.
I hope you don't mind, but when you do that Solaris, when I come in, I always send out healing vibes surrounding everybody in your group with unconditional love and healing light. I hope you don't mind that, but it just seems appropriate.
It is appropriate. And so we have that on Monday. So everybody who's having any issues, come join on Monday on the Solaris Healing Center, and I'll be doing some healings. And then on Tuesday, I've got
you do amazing healings on that show. We've watched, and you have amazing results.
Well, I mean, my background is being a nurse and then a chiropractor, and then I became a medical intuitive. And so it's all just kind of come together with what I'm doing on that show. But anyway, on Tuesday, I've got Ann Perry, the numerologist, is coming on. She'll be there.
Oh, good.
And then Wednesday, I have Mary from the Rustic Raven, the shaman. She'll be coming.
Love her.
We'll be talking about ETs, all that, and that'll be on Wednesday. They're all at 12 Pacific time, 3 Eastern time. So I'll be on.
3 Eastern.
That's Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. But tomorrow it'll be 3 o'clock Pacific time, 6 o'clock Eastern time. That'll be on Anne Marie's channel.
Okay.
I think it's Rising Star Astrology now. She's changed her name all the time. So I'm going to be on for the next, let's see, how many days? For the next 4 days. I haven't ever done this many lives in a row.
Wow. Well, thank you so much for the
impromptu
live today. I really appreciate that. We really appreciate that because it just.
Well, thanks for having me. It was an interesting subject.
It really is. And you're our resident pro on aliens. So who better to go to than Dr. Gail?
Exactly.
We actually are going to have Terry Suzuki here tomorrow. We're going to do Terry's Tales. So she'll be here at 3 o'clock Eastern. And then, let's see, that's Sunday. And then we're off till Tuesday. And I really don't know what Tuesday's show is going to be because
I haven't got that far.
I haven't gotten that far yet. So we shall see. But everybody in the chat room, thank you guys for coming today.
Appreciate it. So
really
much.
impromptu, and we appreciate you showing up for this show. And
thank you, everybody, and thank y'all for having me.
You betcha. And get out there and spread your light, everyone.
Don't
Unless
forget.
you have 12 inches of snow like Dr. Gail, then stay
Then
in and
just
be
a lot of
safe.
sun, but just spread it out.
But share your light. We love you, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.